Hello, everybody, and welcome to Conversation with Friends. And you know, if you've watched us over the last year, we're in search of people doing really good things in South Florida, making an impact, bringing a feeling of light or lightness or something really good to South Florida. And you're about to meet one of these very special people. And his name is Dr. Joe Barros. And by day, I would say, or a lot of the days, he's working in his profession as an endodontist, but early in the morning, maybe later in the afternoon, night, all times, what he's doing is following his bliss, as they say, right? Following his passion. He is the board president of the Tropical Audubon Society, and he's always in search of new and exciting birds and new and exciting adventures. So welcome, Joe. I was told I can call you Joe.
Absolutely, and thank you very much for having me.
We're friends, right?
I'm
We just
honored.
met, but we're friends. It's great to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, and from what I read, your love affair with birds and with nature started when you were quite young, didn't it?
Yes. Well, I think about that, and I think about how birds kind of crossed my path, even when I was very young. But definitely, I always attribute this one move we made to a new house that had a bird feeder, and we filled that feeder up with bird seed, and the birds just started coming, and it was so interesting. At that time, I grabbed my World Book encyclopedia, and that's how I started to identify those birds. And it was just a wonderful group that would come and visit and interact. And so I just found it all fascinating and beautiful at the same time.
So, and that's really what the Audubon Society is all about, isn't it? Which is, as I understand it, over 75 years old now?
That's right. This is our 75th anniversary year. We were started in 1947, and so here we are celebrating our 75th anniversary. And yes, although we're Audubon and we're known for our birds, but with time, we're an advocate organization too, advocating for the environment. And along with birds, they need a place to feed, a place to rest, a place to stop over and find refuge. And so that includes habitat. So if you're gonna love the birds, you gotta love the habitat and care for the habitat that they would more or less use, and or it might be their home.
So they need to be able to stay where they probably were for many, many years until all kinds of things have happened here in South Florida and other parts of the world, right? So much development. Yeah.
We live in such a special place here in South Florida because migration, of course, is very big for the birds, flying north, flying south. We all know about looking for that spring robin to show up, that is, if you live a little further north in Florida. But when birds are migrating, they need stopover places. They're flying from what could be the Arctic all the way down to, let's say, southern South America, and they do so just like we travel on the highway. We need rest stops. So they might see a green space, and there might be a storm coming on, so they need a place to be able to land and take and rest. And when they do, they're usually looking to feed and, like I said, rest and try to be in a safe place. So yes, all these, as I was saying earlier, the habitat is also so important, because all these green spaces are a wonderful place that they see from above and say, okay, I'm going to go down there and rest up. So not only for our birds, well, our resident birds, but also for our migrating birds as well.
Well, South Florida is really a great place to see birds, and we're going to just see a few wonderful pictures right now, and maybe you could just show it. We're going to show a few, and then we'll show a few later. Some very, very special birds can these all be seen in South Florida at some time of the year?
Well, we'll see as each one goes on, but this is a little blue heron, as it says there in the credits. And this is one of the herons and the egrets. This is what Florida's known for. This is how Audubon started and protect these birds from from hunters at the time, plume hunters, who would shoot these birds like this great egret for the plumes. And because they were used in fashion to adorn ladies' hats and their clothing sometimes. And that was back in the 1900s. And so Florida is known for the egrets, the herons. The great egret here is pretty much a bird that we can all see in our neighborhoods, on the lakes, on the canals. And today, although that great egret looks like he's got himself a little crayfish, but they'll also walk along our yards. And I guess they started learning that lizards are good eating as well. So I've had them in my yard far away from water, walking carefully and hunting through the little shrubbery.
Look at that. He looks like he's about to enjoy his meal, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's a wonderful picture. Yes.
Yeah, it's a great picture. Look at that.
But definitely that little blue, the great egret, these are birds that we might see nearby, if not in our front yard.
So these are, I would say these maybe the most seen birds in South Florida, the egrets?
Again, the herons were well known for them. This bird here is the snail kite, or often called the Everglades kite. And now this one is very special because it's only found here in what I'll call South Florida. I mean, they may range up into the Kissimmee River area, but this is a federally endangered bird. It is very special bird in that it's called a snail kite because that is its food preference. That snail that he's holding on to is called an apple snail. And strictly feed on apple snails. So they're very specialized. They're only found they're not found in any other state that I am aware of in the US, but they are found further south into the Caribbean. And so people who are avid bird watchers, maybe from somewhere else in the country, will want to come down to South Florida to see this Everglades kite or snail kite. If we wanted to see it, we'd have to go out to that habitat, which isn't far. Heading west along Tamiami Trail or Alligator Alley, you might see these birds hunting low along the sawgrass, looking for the apple snails. It's a beautiful bird.
It's really magnificent to see that wingspan. It's just, yeah.
Again, a bird that's well known here in Florida, but this one does range a little further up to Louisiana, and that's a Roseate Spoonbill. Magnificent bird, somewhat prehistoric looking with its head and spoonbill, but an absolutely beautiful pink with that little green on the head. They were known to nest in Florida Bay for many, many years. They're now, because of the changes of habitat, unfortunately, they sometimes have to look for new places that are more suitable. So they've been seen a little further north in Florida, where they might join heron colonies or, areas where they can roost and bring up their young.
Yeah, I think that's, again, one of the sad parts of, the fact that South Florida has grown a lot and people like, that it's an interesting town, but I think it's just one of the drawbacks or, one of the bad things, I should say, about South Florida is that it takes away habitats for these birds, right? And other wildlife. Yeah.
And it's all about finding that balance because we all came here for the same reason. It's paradise. It's beautiful. The weather's great. Even in the summertime, it's a little bit hot. The rest of the year, we're in a wonderful place. And we just need to find a way of trying to find that balance. I mean, we live here. We're not leaving and we want to be able to enjoy it. So we just need to take that extra step to try to protect what we have left and hopefully connect those habitats, let's say. I'm even a big proponent of, we talked about habitat, you bring the habitat to your yard, with our native plants, and that can create almost recreate our South Florida environment right there in your yard. And you'll find that the migratory birds that are looking for a place to stop over don't necessarily need to go to the parks. They can go to our neighborhoods if we kind of lessen the St. Augustine grass and put in some native plants that can create that wonderful stopover.
I love it. I love it. So you can really become friends with birds and kind of invite them into, a place where they can feel comfortable and kind of have a nice life for a while, right?
I always say plant it and they will come.
And they will. I love it. That's great. So I want to. Oh, here we've got some more wonderful pictures.
An osprey, again, that's the bird that we definitely will see. Obviously more around the water, but if you take a drive to the Keys, you'll definitely see ospreys, but we have them up here along the shorelines. Just a wonderful bird found throughout the world in this case, but still magnificent and fun to watch hunt and carry the prey the way they do. And you'll see their along, like I said, along the Keys and along the shoreline. So a great bird. I'll say one of the early birds that I remember growing up. Yeah. Our Ibis, the white ibis. Yeah. Again, beautiful bird, white, interesting bill. Again, shows you how each bird can be so different. Look at that eye. When it gets down to breeding season, all these herons and ibises, they don't have. Well, they'll have color, but what changes might be the color, their skin color around their eye or their bill, and it really brightens up. So they're really magnificent around that time. And
it is so bright. I mean, the bill is just, the contrast between the white and the red orange, right? Yeah.
Yes. And then, of course, so specialized, you'll find them probing deep into the mud, or sometimes even in front yards. You'll see them around open areas here, within our residential areas of Miami, probing, looking for their prey, for their food source.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is a treasure, isn't it?
It sure is. And again, we are so, it's just, we are so lucky that these birds make South Florida their home during the winter. So while a lot of birds migrate and will migrate down into the Caribbean South, there's a good number that find South Florida far enough, and the painted bunting is one. And they'll be found again throughout the neighborhoods. They don't need necessarily dense forests. If you have a feeder with the small little round seed called millet, they love the millet, and they're well known. If people have had the feeders in their backyard and had buntings, they will continue that tradition and have the buntings come visit them in their backyard. And that, and I would say almost anywhere in South Florida, you might have a group of buntings visiting your feeder regularly, more or less from October through April.
It really is amazing to see, how unique each one is. One is not like the other, or I'm wondering about just being a part of the Audubon Society and really, I want to say making effort or being involved in just going out and finding these birds or bringing them to your home through, often giving them some special treats and food. And is that the experience of people that are involved with the Audubon Society, where it's just a place to meet like-minded bird lovers, right?
Right. And, so first thing I'll say is we have a website at tropical.org with a lot of information, including our activities. So I may say to you, just like when I arrived in South Florida and said, I've heard about this Audubon Society, I'm going to look for it. You can go on there, find the activities, which again, we also have it more or less August through May. We have bird walks almost every weekend, and they're free, they're open to the public, and it's just a matter of signing up and coming out and At that bird walk, you'll find birders of all levels. Let's say the advanced birder might be our leader, or always a couple other people, and then people who are learning, or people who are still learning. And we'll usually take a walk through our local parks, whether it be Matheson Hammock or Bill Baggs State Park down over in Key Biscayne, or Indian Keys Hammock, or we go north up to Arch Creek and Forest.
You're getting into my neighborhood. I live north.
Yeah,
So,
we've been definitely including wonderful parks up north. There's one called Highland Hammocks, I believe it's called. I think I have got the name right. But a wonderful, all these parks are really wonderful during, again, we start August, September, October, those are migration seasons. So the birds are migrating and stopping over at these parks. When you get into November, December, January, that's our winter season. And that's where these birds that actually, this is where they've migrated to, will stick around. And so it's also a good time to bird. And then it picks up again in spring. And so we have bird walks, like I said, every weekend throughout the county. And you can easily join, like I did over 30 years ago, not knowing really much about birds, or not to this level, and was quickly, brought in, and I made friends that are friends for a lifetime at these walks. We also have, going along with building the habitat, we have a plant sale once a year, a native plant sale, where again, we have people who know about the plants that can help you pick some plants for your yard that will be suitable for your yard, and hopefully be something that can attract the birds, the butterflies, because we'll get into butterflies. On a slow bird day, there might be some butterflies, and then the plants are always there. And there's so much to learn. I mean, we live, again, in a very special area here in South Florida, different than the rest of the country. So at Tropical Audubon Society, we have wonderful activities to learn about the birds, the butterflies, the plants, and also it's a great way to get out. You might never have been to Everglades National Park, and we have that on our schedule. So, or a little park that's right next to your house, and it's a great way to get out and learn a little bit about our environment, which again is so precious.
And you're outside as well. You're searching, or I guess you have to search a little bit, right? You're walking, looking for birds. I don't exactly know how you look for the birds. I think that probably a lot of you know already where these birds are, right? But
well, you'll
have
learn
to make a little effort when you're out there on a bird walk.
You do, or you just have to be attentive. And sure enough, you start keying in on sounds and quick movements. And it's actually quite interesting as you think it's all seeing birds, but now, I mean, I've gotten to a point where it's really about hearing the birds. Sometimes you'll hear their song, their chips, and all of a sudden you're aware and you start looking, and they'll be there. They'll be obvious, but if you're not looking, you're not going to see them.
So you have to be very, very observant and very quiet. Right? This is not I'm assuming, maybe I'm wrong. This is not actually an activity where you're talking, or are you? Or maybe before you reach the...
It is a fun group, and every now and then it gets to be socializing, but no, when we get serious, it's quiet. The one person kind of saying, I see some movement. Trying to describe to the group, because we want everyone to see the bird, and describe to the group how to find it, and focus in and get a good look at the bird as they're making their way. They're doing their own thing, which is so much fun. It's not just, for some of us, yes, seeing the bird is great, but after years, I might have seen that bird, 100,000 times, but now it's watching its behavior, how this bird moves through the woods and through the canopy different than this bird does. And yet they kind of will hang out together. And they all have, interesting enough, their own personalities, their own little habits, and you can pick up on that very quickly. So Hey, how did you
It's a
know it was there?
never-ending education. You take a bird walk and you have to come back and you've learned something, right? When you come back, you have learned on your
And
bird walk.
you know, there's so many birds. Again, I've been kind of describing the forest birds, but then you go out to the let's say the shoreline, wherever it might be, whether it be Matheson or somewhere else, and you get shorebirds that are migrating through, and they might seem kind of dull in their brown coloration, but actually when you get a good look, they're really quite beautiful. And then there's the duck, which are just amazing. So there are these family of birds that each one quite different, a lot to learn. And the more you see them, the more beauty you see in them. And again, enjoy their the way they go about their life and interacting. And
I get the feeling that you never met a bird that you didn't think was gorgeous, right? And wonderful. And
it's the toughest question that I'm always asked. What's your favorite bird? I actually have an answer, but you know, you kind of say, well, oh, that's a great bird. Oh yeah, that's a great bird too. Oh, I love that bird. You know, so it's true that every day you might see a bird I've never seen. Of course, you know, there's go into some of these other areas, whether it be Africa or South America, and they're just totally different. And you're like, wow.
I think that leads us to something, or brings us to something, I should say. You go beyond South Florida. You get hooked on South Florida, and then what do? You schedule something in South America, don't you? A bird walk.
You know, part of that is part of the obsession, I guess you could call it. You know, I always people ask where you go bird watching, and I'll say right outside your front door, as we've kind of just talked about. The birds are right there, and if you pay attention in your yard, you might just have wonderful birds traveling through. But yes, sometimes I guess you could say if you're just traveling, you're in a new place, there are going to be some new birds. So you might not be on a birding trip, but you'll see new birds. So that's one way of looking at it. But yes, I've also gone on intense birding travels, whether it be North America, Michigan and Minnesota, where you're going out for some very special birds up there, or the Caribbean, which is close by to us, of course. All the islands have very interesting birds. South America, I've been over to Europe, to Spain to bird watch, which was a lot of fun. And Africa was very interesting. I've only gone one time to Africa, but it was a good trip.
Wait, and these trips, I'm not sure about all of them, but many of them are offered to everyone, right? Or you have to be a member of the Audubon Society.
They're offered to everyone. Membership, absolutely. We want everyone to be a member and support Tropical Audubon Society, which I think does so well. And if you don't mind me plugging them,
please do.
I just found out this morning that we were named best charity as per the New Times. So
I read that.
Thrilled.
Congratulations. So best charity of the year.
Yes.
Among all the other charities in all of South Florida. I would think there's hundreds, maybe even more than that, thousands.
There's some great charities out there. I Give Miami Day is always a big day, a day, and you look at all those really wonderful charities. I'm always thrilled that we do very well with Give Miami Day, but I try to spread the love too, because you have friends and you know, there's some very worthy charities among all. But yes, we were voted best charity, so I'm very honored. But having said that, yeah, again, on our website you'll see not just our field trips, but some of these national and international trips that we make. We often take trips, van trips that we take from Miami over to the West Coast, the Tampa Bay area, where you might see a little bit different group of birds during migration. We go up to North Florida, but we also have national trips. And I think next year we have 3 international trips. I think we have Costa Rica this year. And then say next year we have Colombia. And I think we have, and I should know this, we have Africa. And I forget which country. I want to say it's Kenya, but I don't remember. we have at least 3 international trips that you can sign up for. And again, it's we usually try to keep them, in any tour that you make, you can go first class where, I mean, it's very fancy. You can go on a very basic one. We try to stay in between, try to be comfortable when we go, but and then like the Columbia trip, I think offers a lot of other, little cultural days as well, because as a birder going on a birding trip, sometimes it's birding from dawn to dusk. So, but if you get into it, it's a lot of fun.
I get the feeling that anyone that joins Audubon and gets involved with all of these activities, their life feels very fulfilling, doesn't it?
It is. It's fun to think about because you start making friends, and then you start. Of course, there's social media sites where people post, and you see what they're seeing. Oh, wow, that sounds like a great place to go. I think I'll try to go there this weekend. Or so yes, it's you look forward to the birding trips, the weekend, even the weather patterns that'll bring in new birds. So you're attuned to a lot of different things, and it's definitely a lot of fun. And sometimes it's just a getaway. You just leave the world behind, and you're focusing on the bird or the habitat and what you might see there, and you just all of a sudden everything else just drifts away. No 21st century issues. You just kind of are in the woods with just sounds of birds and things like that.
I love it. Leaving behind the world and all the problems of the world for just a little while, right? On one bird walk and then another bird walk. Or we don't have much time left, but I just wanted you to talk a little bit about where people can go. They would have to contact you first, but you have this amazing building, right? I mean, a whole complex almost in South Miami, right?
That's correct. Our address is 5530 Sunset Drive. We refer to our headquarters, the house that we own, is called the Doc Thomas House. Mm-hmm. It was a gentleman by the name of Arden Hayes Thomas, who was a pharmacist in the South Miami area in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And I think a number of grocery chains tried to buy the property from, because we're right on Sunset, and he realized that if he didn't do something, that's what it would turn into. And so he did give it to Tropical Audubon Society upon his passing. And so we've had it since 1976. It's our headquarters. We have, again, summers are a slow time, but come fall, we have concerts in January, February, March, and April. We have a bird day for the kids in February. And we have a number of activities throughout the year. We actually are going to have a Birding 101 class July 30th that we're partnering with Everglades National Park, because they too are celebrating their 75th anniversary this year. And we're going to come over to the Doc Thomas House. We're inviting kids of all ages, including the adults, to come and learn about bird watching. And like I said, our website pretty much has a lot of the information that I've talked about. Places about the birds, places, I think we have a little areas where to bird. And as I said, yes, your front yard, your nearby park, get to know your park. It's wonderful to go to. Of course, I live in the South Miami area. Tropical Park, A.D. Barnes, Matheson Hammock. It's birding usually is a little bit of an early activity, but it's so much fun to go to these parks early. You enjoy the quietness of the park, and then I always like to see a park that's well used. And Tropical, A.D. Barnes, you start seeing the people come out and they set up for their birthday parties. They're playing softball over here. It's great to see that the parks kind of come alive and are used. And each of these that I mentioned, at least, they have their little natural areas, which are probably more for the birding, but they're wonderful places to go to.
just listening to you, and hearing all that you know, and so much more, we could probably spend some hours here. I just get the feeling that you really are, beyond passionate about this. Is everybody like you? I bet they are. They set foot in the Audubon Society and
well, again, as I said before, there's birders of all levels. They might all have the same passion, but some are happy just seeing the birds casually, while some make it a point that I need to go chase this bird this weekend. So, but the stories are great from all levels, as far as the bird that they saw this week or the activity in their yard. We have a Facebook page, Tropical Audubon Society Bird Board, I believe, or Facebook page. And people, again, of all levels of birding post there. Of course, in today's age, everyone's got cameras, digital cameras, and they post their pictures. Some videos, they're amazing. They really are. And some will just say, I saw this bird, and they'll get some help on how to identify it.
I'm getting the feeling this is more than just a passion. It can actually be an addiction, a good addiction, right? Where you just, you go on one bird walk, you want to go on another, you want to go on another, you want to learn more. There's no end to it. And, there has been a lot of research on, for people, not just, for our society, in terms of how to be well and how to have, live a good life. And it always seems to have in it points to nature, to be connected in some way to nature. Don't stay in your house or just go to your gym or, all those things. Those are okay, but get connected to nature. And that's
Absolutely.
what you're doing with the Audubon Society, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing.
And I was, these past 2 years or 3 years now have been tough on so many people. And I found myself waking up in the middle of the night, kind of like, for whatever reason, couldn't sleep. And even at the dental offices, our patient days were lessened during the height of things. And I would just wake up, and then my wife, what are you doing? I said, well, the sun's going to come up in about 30 minutes. I think I'm going to take a drive to the Everglades or the nearby park, and I'd watch the sunrise there and hear the birds singing. I'd be back by 11 o'clock, and it made things, it really was nice. It turned out to be a really nice day.
You can go from having a bad day or a day of worry and fear to joy, to really joy. And I just wanted to ask you again, if anybody does want to go on a bird walk, learn more about what you do. You said Facebook, Tropical Audubon Society.
Yes.
I assume
that
website call, right? I think that's what I did to be.
Yes. So on our website, tropicalaudubon.org, like I said, you will find all the information, including our phone number, which is 305 667-7337. Boy, phones these days. Our website has activities that we have planned, such as the July 30th talk there at our Doc Thomas house for the Birding 101. And also, I didn't even get into our educational programs, which are also open to the public. This fall, we'll have what we call our Tropical Audubon Society Ambassadors Program. And there we invite, again, everyone. Usually it's 18 and up. And what we try to do there is educate the public on South Florida and its challenges, I'll say, whether it be rise or Everglades restoration or Biscayne Bay, and try to give the people some information, why we should care about these places, and also how to advocate for them, because we are an advocacy group as well. We're trying to, again, find a balance, protect these habitats, and protect the place that we all want to go enjoy over the weekend, whether it be birding or boating or fishing or just a peaceful hike that you might want to go out on.
if we, if there weren't people like you, working to protect and to make sure that wildlife, birds and other wildlife have places all over to be able to live and eat and do everything that they need, it would really be a very, very sad community and sad world. And I think that I get the feeling that all you have to do is just sign up for one bird walk and that's it, or come to the Audubon Society's place, building, or what's it? It's a
Doc Thomas House.
Doc Thomas House. Okay, and it's like a house. Yeah. So,
and I didn't even talk about the house, but it celebrated 90 years this year. It was built in 1932, so it's a beautiful wood frame house that's unlike anything else in the neighborhood.
Well, it's amazing, and I'm just thrilled to get to be here to interview you. I wanted to end with because I have always loved birds. I've never been on a real bird walk, but I am going to be signing up along with some people from the meditation center. They have already told me that they would like to go because they love birds so much. Can you see this? This was given to me by a good friend and by Audubon, and it hangs in my kitchen, and I just look at it all the time and enjoy it all the time. So ground warbler, two of them.
So what I mean, that takes us in,
by the Audubon, by Audubon himself.
John James. That's a John. Yeah. That you can tell that's a John James Audubon print. He did the elephant folios, which are giant ones, but then he did these octavios, and of course, I think they're all beautiful. If you were in my office right now, I'd show you like 10 of them.
Oh, okay.
I've got it in that obsession too, but yeah, that's another really wonderful history there of John James Audubon and the painting of the American birds. And of course, he was doing it when it had not been done and before binoculars and scopes and optics. So he was I won't get into how he did it, but basically he was painting these birds, right from the field.
I saw there was a documentary on Netflix. So I think it was Netflix or PBS. Somehow I think it was on Netflix in the last year about his life and everything. So, there's obviously there are a lot of people who love birds, want to know more about birds, and want to actually go spend some time with birds on a bird walk. So
please,
I thank you so much for joining me and taking the time. I know you had to give up some time from your work, and I really, really appreciate it. And
it's an honor
so nice to meet you, and I look forward to seeing you on a bird walk.
Sounds
Thank
good.
you. Thank you so much.
We'll see you out in the field.
Yes.